Right now, from KTAB News, your local election headquarters, this is Big Country Politics.
All right, welcome to Big Country Politics. I'm Victor Sotelo, and sitting with me is Trevor Wilkinson. We are having a little informal show today. This is not how we usually start out Big Country Politics. We usually start out with news, but we have a special guest, Trevor Wilkinson from Clyde High School, a senior at Clyde High School, and your story has been across the nation. I want to go over that real quick for those of you who may not know this story. It's been everywhere, first of all. The first time we were made aware of Trevor, we saw you in a post. Was it Instagram, Snapchat post. Tears in your eyes. We saw your painted fingernails, and you were in school suspension, and you were letting people know, your followers know. At that point, how many followers did you have, social media?
On Instagram, I had about 10K, and Snapchat, I probably had like 3,000.
So already a little more than your average person.
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
I used to be semi-TikTok famous in the summer before my account got banned. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a little more posts than the average person, but nothing like it is now. You were letting your followers know that you were in in-school suspension for having your your nails painted, which goes against school policy.
Yes, something as minor as my nails got me an in-school suspension.
Okay, so here's where, and I want to understand why you were in school suspension, because you had gone to the school board way before this to say what?
In September, I went to the board meeting. In September,
before all the attention?
Yes, before all of this happened, I went to a board meeting basically telling them that there were a lot of not okay things happening at my school. And then I hit on policy, and that was a big thing that I talked about. And I told them that it is a double standard and that it is discriminatory. And unfortunately, nothing was said, nothing was done, just kind of left it at that, took off my nails, went online for 6 weeks, and then here we are.
You took off your nails and went online. You did online learning for 6 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Because of this policy.
Yes, sir, exactly.
But you stood up during public comment at the school board meeting in September, and just so you know, public comment section is where anybody from the public can get up and speak on anything, but this issue was not on the agenda.
No, it was not on the agenda.
You just decided to get up during public comment, and you said during that time you felt like what you said when one went in one ear and out the other, because you never heard anything more about it.
Exactly.
Okay, take it from there. Where you go online for
6 weeks. I then went back to school, took off my nails, kind of left it at that, let closed-minded people be closed-minded. And then Thanksgiving break rolled around. My friend asked to get his nails done with me. Naturally, I said yes, because I kind of was like, yeah, this is how I want to express myself. So that's exactly what I did. I got something really basic, just black nails with some flames on them. They weren't flashy, they weren't long, they were my regular nails like these. And it was just kind of a basic thing. And then that's when, after break, I went to school. My teacher immediately sent me to the office, and that is when my vice principal told me that I either had to go home and be counted absent and take my nails off, or go to ISS.
You went to ISS?
I went to ISS.
Really? To prove a point, I guess,
yes,
huh?
Exactly.
So here's where I want to stop you. You walk into school that day after break, your nails are done. You walk in like every other day.
Yes.
Does anybody, any of your peers, again, leave faculty out of this, leave teachers out of this, do your friends, do your peers, do your classmates, does anybody say anything to you about your nails other than, oh, maybe nice nails? What? No. Anything like that?
Nothing negative at all. Nothing like, Trevor, you should take these off. Like, this is a distraction. Nothing.
Anybody make fun of you?
Nope. Nothing.
Is it a thing these days? I mean, again, there's that phrase, these days, makes me sound old, but is it? I mean, you could.
Yeah, I think that it is really a trend, and I think that a lot of people do paint their nails regardless of their sexual orientation, and I think it's a thing that guys just kind of do to express themselves, and I really don't think it's anything major.
So much of a thing that it's almost unnoticeable, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So
When does this become? And by the way, these dress code policies are there to not cause distractions, and and it's also there to, I guess, make you get ready for life after real world stuff, right?
yeah.
And we'll get into that in a minute. But it's not a distraction until who makes it a distraction?
It wasn't a distraction until the teachers made it a distraction, and they took time out of their day to send me to the office and to actually remove my education because they were uncomfortable with how I was expressing myself.
But again, students and student body didn't say a thing. Faculty is the one who said something.
Yes, and actually, when this was all said and done, a lot of my friends at school and just people at school, they were outraged and they were upset by everything that happened because it is something so minor that it shouldn't. I don't think that it should have gotten to where it has. I think that they should have just been open-minded enough to realize that traditional values are great and all, but this isn't 50 years ago.
When this first comes to light and you make that Snapchat post letting people know you were an ISS, and then you informed people that you have an online petition.
Yes. I started the day after that I went to ISS. I posted something along the lines of, it said, imagine getting ISS for having your nails painted. This school, and then I put clown emojis. Not my brightest moment, but I did that. And from there were so many people that were upset and on my side about this. And that night, that's when I made the petition. And that's when things just kind of started going and blowing up. And then when I went back and kind of had a talk with my vice principal and principal, kind of showed them everything, they didn't want to listen, they didn't care. That's when I made the second post, and that's when things really started to get attention from it.
So what do you mean when you went back to school? When you went?
So
you went home that day, or?
Yes. What happened was on Monday I went home after I got out of school.
Okay, hold up. They're wrapping us up. We're going to pick it up there. When we come back on Big Country Politics, we're going to have another segment with Trevor Wilkinson, and everybody knows the story. When we come back, we'll continue our interview on Big Country Politics.
Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
All right, welcome back to Big Country Politics. Special guest with us, Trevor Wilkinson, Clyde High School. He was the high school student who was put on in-school suspension for having his nails painted. In our first segment, we kind of went over kind of what led up to this, where you were in school suspension for the day, then you came back to school after that first day of in-school suspension. You came back a couple of days later, and you had a visit with faculty.
Yes, I had a meeting with my vice principal and principal. Tuesday and Wednesday, I compiled as much evidence as I could to show my side of this and kind of show how not okay it was. I printed out the petition, which it had 4,000 or 5,000 signatures by that point. I printed out the comments, I printed out Title IX of the Constitution. I kind of got everything that I could to prove that this was not okay.
Title IX of the Constitution?
Yes.
Explain that.
So basically it's a protection thing that states that schools or people in a public setting are not allowed to enforce a dress code that is based off of sex stereotypes or generalizations of what they think that a boy or girl how they should be.
Before that meeting, it sounds like you did your homework.
Oh yes. I did all of my research, all of my homework. They were and still are, in fact, breaking the law. So I kind of try to show them that, and then he accused me of lying about it and saying that it's not factual, even though it is. He wouldn't look at my petition, he didn't look at the comments, he said that he simply didn't care. So at that point, they said that policy is policy, and that I would stay in ISS until I removed my nails. So to ISS I go.
At that point, did they say, hey, policy's policy, we'll look at it when it's time to look at that? Did they say that at all?
No, they said policy is policy. If you want to do something about this, you have to wait until after you graduate when we review the dress code every year, because they do it every year. Mm-hmm. But they said that policy was policy and that I would stay in ISS until I took them off.
What's the danger in, what's the problem with waiting till after you graduate? And like you said in our first segment, let closed-minded people be closed-minded, and just wait till you're done. Wait till you're after school's over, and then go after it. What's wrong with that?
Change would not have happened, and there still is a chance that this change could not happen, and they could stay in their traditional closed-minded ways. But I think the danger in that is for the people like me that are gonna want to express themselves in the years coming, or even straight males who want to paint their nails because there's a trend. I think that if this didn't happen, they would be stuck back in their traditional 3 steps back in history ways, and I just couldn't sit back and let that happen.
So you were thinking of those coming behind you.
Yes, exactly.
You're a senior this year.
Exactly.
Because you could have been a senior this year, gone, and never had to think about this again.
Exactly.
But you were just thinking about those others who were coming up behind you.
Yes, for the future kids of Clyde, Texas.
Okay, so you had that meeting. What happens from there?
From there, I go to ISS again. That's when I made the post. That's when they got call after call, email after email. Like, that's when it really, really started to blow up. And then that's when I got on the local news stations here. And after that, on Friday, I had another meeting, but this time with my superintendent and principal again, where they try to find a middle ground, I guess you could say. But their middle ground was I take off my nails, and in return, I'll get to go to class, and then I'll get to speak at another board meeting like I did in September. And I waited out, but then I realized that I have talked about this, and I have brought...
You had done that already.
Exactly, and I did it in the most respectful way. And that's when I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So instead, I went even bolder and got fake nails.
So you just took it to another level.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Because at one end, you're like, okay, I spoke in September. Nothing happened. I've gone to ISS twice.
Exactly.
And now they're asking me to wait, and you just weren't willing to wait any longer.
Exactly.
Something needs to be done.
Yes.
So let's talk about, we did a story on it, others did a story on it, and then it just blew up.
And then it just blew up.
How so? Take it from there.
So after K-Texas and K-Tab did a story, it kind of started getting national attention. At first, it was kind of just like an in-Texas thing, like news stations from Dallas and San Antonio were asking to interview me.
Well, here at the station, here at K-Tab, we have affiliates everywhere, and they were calling us. They were saying, hey, we want this story, put it on the feeds. And you started getting calls from them directly.
I started getting calls from all over the place. And then I'm not really sure what it was that really got this to national news, but Yahoo did a story about it. Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't long until Good Morning America reached out to me and they asked, and so obviously I did the interview. And after Good Morning America, that's when it really, really blew up.
By the way, you being, how old are you?
I'm 17.
17. You don't get news the way adults, I shouldn't say adults, but older adults, people like me, even older, get news. You guys get news on your phone, stuff like. You didn't realize how big this morning show was.
Exactly. I had no idea that Good Morning America was as big as it was until my friend kind of really showed me and was like, Trevor, this is really big. And I was like, okay. But then I really kind of grasped everything and I was like, whoa, this is really blowing up.
At that point, were you like, okay, I've probably gotten myself into something bigger than I realized, and you had to be very nervous about this whole thing.
Oh yes. At first, I was really nervous. I still kind of am, but I'm getting better at it. I was so nervous because that's when a lot of people started to actually look up to me and really.
It's almost out of your hands at this point.
Yes, exactly. At the point when Good Morning America, after that, that's when it just blew up.
You have, and that's when your social media following just went out of control. What's it at?
It's at 50K right now on Instagram.
On
yes.
Instagram.
Yes, I have a public profile on Snapchat. I think my Twitter followers, I gained like 2,100 or something. It was crazy.
Wow. I want to talk to you when we come back on Big Country Politics. I want to talk to you about the national attention that this story has gotten, which we already have covered a little bit. But you've actually also had celebrities reaching out to you. One celebrity in particular who's going to have a nail polish line because of this.
Yes, exactly.
When we come back on Big Country Politics, we're going to continue our conversation with Trevor Wilkinson and all the attention he's getting just for painting your nails.
Yep, just for painting my nails.
All right, we'll be back on Big Country Politics.
Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
All right, welcome back to Big Country Politics. I'm Victor Sotelo, and we are continuing our conversation with Trevor Wilkinson, Clyde High School student, senior, who was put in in-school suspension for having painted fingernails, and since then, everybody knows the story of Trevor's painted fingernails because there is so much to it. We've gone over what got him into in-school suspension, how he has fought against it. Now I want to get into the attention you've gotten because of painted fingernails. It just sounds so
bizarre,
silly to say that.
Bizarre.
It's you have gotten celebrities reaching out to you, texting you.
Yes, and especially Lil Yachty. He texted
Explain
me.
who he is.
He is a famous rapper. I'm sure anyone my age, even older, knows
Our
who he
audience
is.
wount know him, so that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah, definitely a rap genre artist. He posted, he had his TMZ story saying that he wanted to reach out to me, and I kind of thought that it wasn't going to happen. But then he actually DM'd me on Instagram, and he said that he has mad respect for me, and that he is making a nail polish brand now, and that he wants me to be one of the first people to get some of it. Yeah, it's been crazy.
So, you've been mentioned on a highly rated morning show. You've been mentioned on TMZ. All kinds of other people are tweeting in support of you. Celebrities are tweeting in support of you. I want to ask you now about now that all this attention, what is the rest of the student body? How are they handling all this attention?
So I think when something blows up this big, the backlash is inevitable, but the majority of the backlash I have received has come from my own community and my school. A lot of people in the community think that I didn't go about this the right way, or that rules are rules. And then a lot of my fellow classmates, they either support me from a distance and don't want to get in it, or support me and think that I did this the wrong way. I have received a lot of backlash, but I just really haven't paid attention to it.
It seems like, and this is just from like everybody else on the outside looking in, and with the insight you've given us here, it seems like this is not a, how do I say, this is not a student body thing. I mean, this is, I mean, they're just kind of there.
Exactly.
And it would have never reached this point if not for that rule.
Exactly. I came out my junior year.
You came out
as gay.
Okay.
I've never had like an issue where I got super bullied or anyone made fun of me. Like, no, all my friends and classmates and peers have always been accepting. They've seen my nails painted before. They would always comment how good they were and how they loved them. Like, it was never an issue until the teachers themselves made it an issue.
So, where do you go from here, Trevor? What's next? What happens when you go back to school after the break? First of all, your nails going to be painted.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to be painted.
And then you go back to school, your nails painted. What happens?
I'm going to assume that I'm probably going to get to go to class.
Because the school board, the last time you went, not in September, but this last time, a couple of weeks ago now, said, okay, we're not going to discriminate against, and that's the word they used, we're not going to discriminate against any students And at the end of the year, like we do usually, we're going to look at the dress code.
Yes, exactly. So now it's kind of just a waiting game. I'm gonna have to play it by ear and kind of wait until I go back to school to really see what happens next. I can't imagine that they would put me in ISS, but if they do, obviously there will probably be more severe repercussions. And honestly, I'm just gonna go from there.
By the way, you've had a lot of support at your last school board meeting. People showed up.
Yeah, they actually had a honk rally. It was amazing.
Signs,
yes.
painted cars. Sam Hatton, local guy here, he kind of led this charge.
Yeah, he's been so helpful through this whole entire thing, and people from the ACLU, Lambda Legal, like they've all been my biggest supporters throughout this, and I truly could not have gotten here without them.
Did you know that was going to happen at the last school board meeting where you had the honk rally? And I'm sure you had kind of an idea, but did you think it was going to be what it was?
No, I didn't. I mean, I had an idea. I saw that it was mentioned, but I had no idea that many people were going to show up. And when they did, I was kind of just in awe, honestly, because I was so honored and surprised.
Speaking of your support, you also have a lot of non-support. You said your social media blew up, but in that, there's a lot of people who are against you, and actually, your account is frozen now, right?
Yeah, my Instagram account is currently disabled, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to get it back at this point. And I've received plenty of hateful comments, hateful DMs. Just kind of overall, as it's progressively blowed up more, I've received a lot more hate from it, and yeah, so I've had more support than I have backlash, but I've definitely received a lot of it.
And actually, I've heard that the school has actually received some backlash, some threats,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, that is the one part that I do wish I could change, because throughout this whole entire thing, I've never condoned hate. But they have received death threats, and we actually had a bomb threat from somebody in Canada. So yes, there's been threats. There's been a lot of hate and disrespect, which were never my intentions. And if I could change one thing, it would be that.
Trevor, this is kind of shaped, at least for now, this has kind of shaped your future, right?
Yes.
I mean, you have made some decisions based on this whole thing from the beginning. And when we come back on Big Country Politics, I want to talk to you about that, because I'm sure people are curious on what you're going to do next after high school, okay? We'll be back on Big Country Politics.
Big Country Politics on KTAB continues.
Welcome back to Big Country Politics. We're continuing our conversation with Trevor Wilkinson, Clyde High School student, senior, who was put in ISS for having painted fingernails, like we said before the break. This has shaped your future. Tell us what your plans are.
As of right now, my plans are to go to Texas Tech, Reckham. I'm going to be in the honors college, and I am planning on majoring in political science and a minor in psychology. And then after that, law school, obviously. I'm going to be a lawyer, and then after that is done, I eventually want to be a politician / activist.
You've always wanted to be a lawyer, but because of this, now you want to go into politics.
Yes.
All right, they're giving us a wrap. Trevor, thank you very much for being on the show. That does it for this week's edition for Big Country Politics. For the latest in the political headlines, always go to bigcountryhomepage.com, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Thanks for watching.